YV Television.
Now, with barely 55 days to Sierra Leone's date with destiny, the June 24th polls, the New Direction Manifesto of the Sierra Leone People's Party of 2018 was a comprehensive plan that outlined the party's vision for Sierra Leone over the last 5 years. The manifesto covered a range of issues, including the economy, governance, and gender. Among others, the New Direction Manifesto made 536 promises. Tonight, we are looking at three fundamental and crucial areas of the economy, governance, and gender, as the Institute for Governance Reform, IGR, launches the biometer that tracks all 536 promises of the New Direction government. Did citizens get what they voted for?
To measure the successes and failures of the New Direction Manifesto, the Institute of Governance Reform introduced the use of the biometer. This tool was to be used to track progress in key areas such as job creation, governance, education, health, agriculture, infrastructure development, the economy, and gender equality, among others. The biometer provided regular updates on progress made, allowing the party and the public to evaluate the effectiveness of policies and adjust them as necessary.
When it comes to the economy, the manifesto emphasized the importance of diversification and job creation. The SLPP planned to achieve that by promoting entrepreneurship and private sector growth, investing in infrastructure, and improving the business environment. The party also planned providing support to the agricultural sector with a focus on increasing productivity, improving infrastructure, and providing access to finance.
Tonight, we will evaluate the fulfillment of the 536 promises made by the New Direction Manifesto of 2018, presented by the economy, governance, and gender. I'm Salma Tawa, tonight's guest presenter, and it's a pleasure, Samuel, to share a platform with you.
All right, it's always a pleasure, Salma. And I am Samuel Wise Bangura, your usual host for this show, and the show is AYV on Sunday. All right, good evening and a very warm welcome to the special edition of AYV on Sunday, supported by the Institute for Governance Reform.
Tonight, the show is coming to you from AYV TV, DSTV channel 399, AYV Radio, SLBC TV, Epic Radio, Afi Radio, Kiss 104 in Bo, Hope FN in McKinney, Gola Radio in Kenema, Voped in Waterloo, and Radio Kabbalah.
As always, we value your inputs into our conversation. Share your thoughts with us on the AYV News Facebook page. We will find time to join Suri Ibrahim Amara to go through some of the messages.
Well, to take the discussions further tonight, we have in the studios Honorable Abdul Kargbo from the main opposition All People's Congress Party, Honorable Ibrahim Tawa of the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party, and Andrew Lavely, the Executive Director for the Institute of Governance Reform. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome to this program.
Good evening.
Good evening, viewers and listeners.
Good evening, viewers and listeners.
All right, and also today in the show we have a live audience of people from the civil society world and the media to help us shape the issues being raised here tonight. Good evening, guys. All right, so let's start off, Andrew. I mean, let's put this into context. The initiative of having the delivery of those promises. Let's talk about, put it into context for us, and how did you go about it?
Thank you very much. And before going further, I would just like to thank the IGR team, the consultant that's really put this together. 536 promises. It was huge. It's been 6 months that this work has been in progress, and I just say kudos to colleagues. Sierra Leone is not the only country that is tracking promises. So if you go to Senegal, we have the SAL meter. If you go to Nigeria, there has been the Buhari meter. Just 2 months ago, the WIA meter was released. So it's been an initiative for tracking, statements made by politicians. And why is that? It's important because when a politician lies, you actually undermine trust in institutions. But when you follow your promise, you build trust in institutions. So one of the ways of building trust is to ensure that For the gamut of promises made, you actually follow those promises. So that's why we started this initiative. It was first funded by the Open Society for West Africa. So we started tracking the biometer in 2019, 2020, then before this. So normally when politicians are campaigning, they are normally torn between winning elections and making credible promises. So because for many voters, for millions of voters, they normally have different things that they pay attention to. Some want water, some want electricity, some want representation of women, representation of young people. So for politicians, they normally want to say everything that the voter wants to hear just to win elections. So you're normally torn between winning election and making realistic promises. So the biometer, first and foremost, I would like to introduce that it's here to stay. I think this is the first time Sierra Leone civil society is actually holding politicians' feet to fire on promises made. In this document, which we titled, "Did we get what we voted for?" You can see it's almost a 70-page document, manifesto promise by manifesto promise, all tracked and all scored. You can see the scores in some in red. If it is red, that it was not even touched. If it is green, that means it's been achieved. If it is in blue, that means it's significantly achieved. It's almost on course to completion. If it is in yellow, that means it's just started. And if it's in gray, that means it's so vague that we cannot measure the promise. The language is vague. And as we saw in the video, it's clear that there are 40 vague promises. Some of these promises say, for example, I will depoliticize student union. We don't know what that means.
No specifics.
No specifics. So it's difficult for us to measure. What do you mean by depoliticizing student union? I will remove supreme executive authority and then orders from above. What is orders from above? What do you mean by that? So it was vague for us. So we just said, let us pack those 40 in the parking lot, and then let us deal with 496 promises that were tracked. So you can see, we looked at the context in which the state, the government operated, and I must say, we may see this to be SLPP and President Joe's record. It's actually the record of Sierra Leone. Because after the election, the government actually puts all the manifesto promises together into a program that was called the National Development Plan. All the contestation that we had in Parliament, the engagement we have from civil society, the critique we have from the media, this is the result. This is our result. If it's a failure, it's our failure. If it is success, it's our success. So that's why we think this should be something in the life of Sierra Leone, how we measure institutions, how we measure the performance. I'm happy today because we are not here to talk about rhetoric. We're here to talk about substance.
And that begs the question, Andrew. Let's talk about the report itself. Is it a survey?
It's not. It's not a survey. These are facts and figures. You said you will introduce, you generate electricity. Did you generate electricity? Not a survey as to whether this person got light or not.
Right.
You said you will pass this act. Did you pass the act? You said you will introduce free quality education. Did you introduce it? And there are certain times, if you know, this is the difference between, you know, a perception survey and something realistic. Normally, when you talk about perception, it's normally someone's subjective evaluation. If you have a woman that you promised 4,000 leons, say, I will turn up to the house, at the house with 4,000 leons at 4 p.m. You turn up at 4 p.m. without the 4,000 leons. And then someone asks the woman, did he come to the house? They say, no, why did he not come? As far as she's concerned, why did he not come? But you were there at 4 p.m. So that's the difference between facts and evidence. So what we are proud to report is that when we say red, for example, build development funding target with specific sectors of the economy, and work with the diaspora representatives to be part of the implementation process. This is red. It was not done. So if you say, repeal the seditious libel law, it's green. It was repealed. So this is where 496 promises were all evaluated and ranked.
All right. Just quickly before we bring in the politicians to have a say, let's, like we mentioned earlier, we're narrowing all of these promises into three crucial areas: the economy, governance, and gender. Yeah. So let's start off with the economy. What is the report saying on the economy in terms of achievements, in terms of the promises that were made?
Okay, in the economy, the biometer, the economy had 83 promises. President Bio made 83 promises in the economy. Like I said, so when we started tracking the biometer in 2018, 2019, the economy was promising. Now, in fact, the economy was number one. And I would just like viewers and listeners just to go back to IGR data and look at 2020, 2019 and 2018 biometer. You can see that the economy was really performing. Now it's sixth, 67%. So it means you can put in much work, but the indicators are not showing, like how you can see indicators in land. Land is 94. The basic education is 84, 76 in tourism. So if you say you're going to reduce inflation, and then by 2019, you reduce inflation to single digits, and then by 2022, even if you do everything, the inflation is not reduced to single digits. So it doesn't mean you have not given effort. So you can still measure the effort, but it's not green. So you can see that the economy is not in green. The economy is not in green, not because the Ministry of Finance and all actors of the economy did not put in effort, but the indicators are not showing green.
So again, let's look at, you mentioned the issue of the economy, and we all know that it's a turning issue currently in the country, especially when we are approaching the elections. There's another aspect of governance. What is the report saying in that aspect?
Governance is the worrying part of the report. Yeah. For governance, President Bio made 70 promises on governance. And in those 70 promises, when you look at the rating in governance, the rating in governance is just about 40% of the promises met in governance. So it's in governance that you have police reforms, you have things like national cohesion. Yeah. That's really the pitching issue. So if APC, SLPP, if we don't fix governance, if we don't change this result in governance for it to hit, in the next administration, for it to hit something like 70, 80, we'll still keep fighting. So it's really, this is to me, is the biggest issue for conversation in terms of moving Sierra Leone forward.
All right, let's talk about how we're able to get to you. Like you mentioned, it's not a survey, it's a facts and it's based on data. How are you able to get all this?
Okay, so a team of consultants were
Because remember, it's likely that somebody else would challenge such a report.
Definitely. Yeah. So a team of consultants were hired. And so first what's happened was to look at the New Direction Manifesto. So the New Direction Manifesto, so if you look at this report, on each page you can see what the New Direction said. What is the reference? That is the page of the New Direction. What is the score? And then the evidence. Why are you scoring this? So it's the manifesto promise, the page of that manifesto. This one is said, I will increase budget allocation to agriculture to 10%. The reference page is page 20, and the score is blue. And we said it's because from the initial base, by 2018, agriculture was 4%, it's now increased to 6%. It did not achieve 10%. So it's in blue, it did not get green. So that's how it's been ranked. So page by page in the manifesto, so you can actually do this, juxtapose this with the New Direction Manifesto to see how it's really a science to see how it was done. So Salmata, to your question, so the consultants put all these reports, the manifesto, 536 promises, listed all of them, and after that they developed questionnaires, and then they went to the MDAs. How far are you with this? And then there was what they call like peer verification. So if you say you have achieved this, what is the means of verification to show that this is achieved? So you have to look at acts, you have to look at parliamentary approvals, you have to look at cabinet conclusions. So it's really a detailed piece of work that was done in evidence gathering on each promise.
So at a given point during this process, for example, the citizens were given a say in this? Or it was just based on what you did for the peer verification, depending on what the MD is saying?
No, so this is not perception. Unfortunately, you may say, I am for Madabio, you may say, I am against Madabio. This is not for you. This is really a verification of whether the president and the party that were elected did what they were elected for. So
but again, such developments, if implemented, the best people to either know that if there's, for example, you mentioned the issue of electricity or governance issues, these are the voters.
Yes. So the provision of electricity, if you want, we can go to...
No problem.
We can go to electricity. We can go to energy. Energy is on page 28. If you go to page 28, so you can see, for example, I will restore electricity supply in all district capitals. Was it done? So you don't need to ask someone. You can actually verify whether electricity supply was restored. So there will be discretion as to who I ask to give me certain answers. For example, I will institute rural electricity board and a rural electricity fund to promote electrification of rural areas. Is a fund established? No, a fund is not established. If you ask APC, they will say no. If you ask SLPP, yes, a fund is established. So you don't need perception. You actually need to get documentary evidence of this and verify it on the ground. So that's why you have the blues, you have the greens, and then all based on the evidence gathered.
Let's bring in Honorable Abdul Kargbo from the Opposition All People's Congress Party. Honorable, so we're starting off with the economy. And there are a couple of promises, about 83 of them here. You have the reports. So you have, first off, review existing tax laws, agreements, policies, and strategies to maximize tax revenue, all holders of elective office, including vice president, president, to pay tax and all of that. And did we, first off, are you satisfied with the score based on what is being presented in the report on the economy?
So basically, the economy is what we live by day by day. And if you score very good in the economy, to reflect on the daily living of the average citizen, they will see it, they will feel it, they will know it. So it's not about scoring on paper, and at the end of the day, the economy is so miserable in the lives of the ordinary Sierra Leonean. But quite apart from that, let me just take a holistic look at the report as a whole.
Right.
I noticed that gradings were done, and I noticed that there were high gradings in the economy. 83 promises were out of 83, 29 were completed and all. And I noticed the second highest is the governance. Yes, governance, where we had 14 promises completed. And also we have 70 total. And we also have I noticed that AYV chose, I don't know whether it deliberately or it's out of sight, but you choose those areas in which they score very high mark, for us to debate. I'm of the opinion that AYV would have just looked at one high, one low, one high, one low. But when we look at where the president was graded all high, it's as if we want to debate so that we create an impression to the public as if the president performed extremely well in all of the gradings.
Can we take a look at governance, for example?
Yes.
In a sense, no, I just want to draw your attention. It's okay, we're okay with this, of course. This is what we do as a media, so we're fine with it. Yeah. But let's take a look at governance, for example. You out of 70 promises, 14.
Again, let me just come. So you asked me of the economy.
The economy, yes.
Yes. Firstly, I want to categorically state here that not all the promises were captured in this very report.
The report.
Yes, not all the promises. For example, revenue mobilization. Under revenue mobilization, there were 14 promises. Only 7 were captured in this report. Yeah. Under expenditure management, there were 10 promises. Only 6 were captured in this report. I have the SLPP manifesto with me, and I have this report with me, and I have my impression about their grading. You understand? Even if you look at the pets, you know, my brother, Mr. Andrew Lavalley, was once contracted by the government to do the pets, and at the end of the day, okay, well, you did the pets. You did the pets. Yes, you did the pets, and at the end of the day, no report was displayed to the public. And we see up to now, there is problem with this pet issue. But now, let me just, don't waste time. Let me go into some of the gradings they made, yeah? Firstly, under revenue mobilization, they said review existing tax law, agreement policy, strategies to minimize tax revenue collection. And he mentioned, he gave them green. And under green, it means they completely achieved it, according to his analysis. And he said the key achievements in this regards are the Finance Act 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, the Extractive Industry Review Revenue Act 2018, Duty and then Tax Exemption Bill, Firstly, let me make this clear. The Finance Act is obligatory on government to always come up with the Finance Act. Yeah? So there is no government that does not come up with the Finance Act, either prior to the budget or together with the budget. This is the first government that has come up with the Finance Act after the budget. We recently passed the Finance Act, and we had passed the budget long ago. So it's very abnormal for that to happen. So to me, this...
that was no gain.
Yeah, it was no gain. So I wonder why, government was giving green, for doing their mandate or for reneging from doing what they were supposed to do. And also, in the SLPP manifesto of 2018, it was promised that domestic revenue to GDP will be increased to 21%. They made that promise. Domestic revenue to GDP will be brought to 21%. As I speak, that was never achieved. It was never achieved. Never was it achieved. I'll give you annually what their domestic revenue to GDP was. And on the same thing, he said, well, this, of course, he failed government. He said all holders of elective offices and political appointees, including the president, vice president, to pay tax on their earnings. That was a promise. According to him, he said only the president that does not pay tax. And also he said developing and legislating a national tax policy. And he gave them blue. He gave them blue. And according to his grading, blue means they have done exceptionally well. They have almost gotten it. Green is the topmost grading. Blue is the second to green. And basically when I looked at it, a lot of things have to come to light. Firstly, we have to know what's the difference between a guide and a strategy. Yeah? There is a vast difference between a guide and a strategy, and that is different from a policy. A guide and a strategy does not have to go through cabinet, but a policy has to go through cabinet. This was made that a policy, a tax policy will be established, and nothing was taken to parliament. So how on earth would you grade them blue for failing to do what they promised? Yes. So that grading was unfair because nothing was taken to parliament. Before it becomes a policy, it should go through cabinet. You see? But it did not go through cabinet. So all they were doing is...
Does a policy need Does the policy need to go through Parliament?
Cabinet.
Cabinet.
Yes.
So, and
yes.
the government did not announce any such policy?
They didn't take it to cabinet, in fact.
Okay.
They didn't take it to cabinet.
So you think that's
and
a
they
failure?
were graded blue.
So you think that's a
for
failure?
that? Of course.
And you're questioning that particular
Yes, the grading there, And also, I looked at another promise from this very, let's go to maintaining single-digit inflation to improving on the purchasement of power of the 62. Okay. Yes. He said, after achieving single-digit inflation in 2020, inflation rate rose sharply and remained double-digit till the end of 2022. I want to bet, I want to be on record, that this government has never.
It's not on record?
Yeah?
It's not.
This government has never achieved a single-digit inflation. So the 2020 inflation was not a single digit.
Just for the record, we have had conversations with government ministers, finance ministers. We have also had conversation with the chief minister, where they've told us that the inflation rate at some point was a single digit, about 9%.
Inflation, let me tell you, you see, these are some of the things you should be cross-checking. Some of these ministers, once it's come to election, they will give you any figures just because they want to be elected. Yeah? There is monthly inflation that is done by statistics, and there is annual inflation. Yeah? There has not been any annual inflation since the inception of SLPP in 2018. That is single digits. I want to be on record.
But the monthly, in your estimation, the monthly?
There was one inflation they cooked. That was, I think, February. Yeah, 1 month. 1 month inflation. They cooked it. That was February or so. I cannot remember.
What do you mean they cooked it?
But, you and I are Sierra Leoneans. You feel the inflation. You feel the pinch. You know what is happening. So for them just to go and write that there has not been inflation, inflation has reduced, when what you normally buy has tripled in price, it's questionable, you see. And also, you know, that is why most times, most of civil society organization are a voice of government, are voices of government, you know. You will agree with me that most of them have acted as subterfuge.
Is that a way of accusing IGR? Is that?
No, I'm not accusing him.
No, but we are currently discussing a report
Exactly,
by
report by
IGR.
IGR.
So are you actually saying
It's not IGR alone. Okay. A good number of civil society.
Honorable, at this point, so you mean all the ratings in terms of the economy, you could not agree with any of them?
No. There are some that are correct.
Which of them?
Which are?
There are some that are correct. But there are a good number of them that are not mentioned there and are not graded, and they were part of the promises made by the president. Let me go through some that we are not graded and they are not mentioned in the report of IGR. Yeah? Go to page 12
of the SLPP's manifesto.
Yeah? Compare page 12 to page 13 of this IGR report. Yeah? I'm happy the CEO of IGR is here, you know, so that I will be tracing.
Yes,
Now,
speak to the audience, please.
if you look under revenue mobilization, you see all of the promises there are on bullet points. You see number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, but only 7 were considered. Now, take a look at this. Mandate the NRA and the Ministry of Finance to upload on a regular basis tax information on revenue collection by sector, tax rates, particularly on frequently imported commodities, assessment and rate of tax compliance by sector. They said that they did not do it, and it's not part of this report. This report did not take cognizance of that.
And you think that was an important point to be raised by the
Of
IGR
course,
report?
if they say they are going to grade President Bio promises. They should not leave anyone.
Okay.
They should capture all of the promises made. But it is very clear that this
later.
report.
Yeah.
lets
I'll come to you
some-
later.
Abdul, answer that.
You
respond,
answer that
yes.
later, but let me bring in Honorable.
I think it's useful.
Okay, okay, you could just react to that quickly and then bring in Honorable Tawa on the economy.
In the first place,
Yeah.
Honorable, thank you very much for the comment. He's actually quarreling with scores that are red. The score is red, and he said we're unfair. We said,
The comments, read the comments.
no, it's not, it's, okay. So the score is red.
Yeah,
It's,
read the comment. The comment is not.
okay, no, okay, let me
Go
finish.
ahead.
So we said maintain single-digit inflation and improve purchasing power of the current. Let me finish, Honorable. The IMF says it's not me. The IMF said Sierra Leone had single-digit. No. IMF. The IMF will not lie to us. And if you look at IMF records, Sierra Leone had single-digit before Ebola, before COVID. It's not me saying, it's IMF that is saying. And all of these evidences are being sourced. How can you quarrel with let me finish. Why will you quarrel with a grade that is already zero? It's red.
The comments. Even when you fail them, let the comments be a truthful comment.
No, excuse me.
So you are having problem with the comment.
Yes.
But then you agree, gentlemen. But then you agree, honorable. But then you agree that the government fails in that particular.
He knows that the government.
Yes, but as recorded in the report.
Let me read the comment.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Let me read
Go ahead.
that
Let's allow him to read the comment.
No,
let's allow him to read the comments.
let me-
Read the comments, please.
I said after achieving single-digit inflation in 2020, which is IMF, inflation rate rose sharply and remained double-digit until the end of 2022. The inflation rate was 42.5% at the time of writing this report. Why do we have to lie?
I want to see that IMF report.
No, why do we
But
have
that
to
is what
lie?
they are not referencing in the report.
That's
I am challenging that this government has never achieved a single-digit inflation.
But it's referencing an international body,
No,
the IMF.
it's not true. Where is the IMF report?
Okay.
We'll come back to it.
Let's hear from
yes, Honorable
Tawa.
Tawa. We are still on the economy, and I say they are referencing your manifesto against this report. You just heard from Andrew, who are actually the authors of this report, as well as Honorable on the economy. So let's talk around that.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, viewers and listeners. Firstly, let me give you a general overview of what I think of the report. In the first place, in the report summary, the IGR, I am not going to accuse Andrew. I'm going to face the IGR.
Go ahead.
The IGR was bold enough to say that we scored an overall 79.9%, which I don't agree with.
79.9% on what?
Total, overall performance.
The general
Okay,
promises.
the
General promises.
Go ahead.
I don't agree.
What's your score?
My score is we are at 85.90. The reason for this is this. Let me tell you.
Go ahead.
We came into governance. We made a government that had the agenda for prosperity. In that agenda for prosperity, they promised free fee-based education. They could not achieve it.
Are we discussing the former government?
Come, please. When you were talking,
It's
I gave
okay,
you all the
Honorable,
time.
please.
Please, please, my brother. Please. You made a lot of references. I did not object to a single one.
okay.
Let us have decorum, please.
It's
Go
okay,
ahead,
Honorable.
go ahead.
Please.
Honorable, go ahead, sir.
We met a government in their manifesto commitments that said they are going to give free-based education. They could not achieve it. But President Bio came to governance. He rolled out free education 6 months into his administration, and consistently he has provided 22% of this country's budget to financing 2.6 million and counting children of Sierra Leoneans across this country. And if you give us 79%, that means he is unfair to the children of this country that are benefiting from the
Who
free
is
education.
unfair?
The IGR.
Is education the only indicator?
It's not just education. This is a government that came to governance and met a government prior that said they're going to do whether they could not do it. An airport at Lungi, and they are pretending in the public that, okay, we did not say so. They said so. They wanted to build an airport at Lungi. They could not achieve it, and we have achieved it.
I'm not sure whether we're here.
Okay, let's allow him. Let's allow him. We'll then.
Let
Go ahead.
me finish, please.
He's going to zoom later on the
Please, let me
economy.
finish.
He's
So if
looking
you
at
see
it.
a government that has come into governance the previous government has said they are going to bring land reform policies. They could not achieve it. We brought in the Customary Land Act, we brought in the Land Commission. Those are significant reforms in translating what we intend for the people of Sierra Leone and for the women of this country.
Can I draw your attention to the APC, many Sierra Leoneans, according to the vote, failed, and so they were kicked out in 2018.
Yeah.
And then you came in with promises as a party and a government.
Yeah.
Now you're being ranked based on what you promised Sierra Leoneans in 2018. And so can we focus on what you promised?
That's what I'm doing, Samuel. We promised free education. But I'm giving you...
Let's go according to the report.
I'm coming. I'm giving you a general overview and I'll come to the economy. Okay. We promised free education. We've delivered it. Yeah? We promised that we are going to do land reforms. We've delivered it. We promised that we are going to increase the budget of the health sector. We've delivered on it. Now, on the economy, when we came to governance, we promised, like he said, 21%. It is not 21%. I don't know whether it's actually referring to the SNP manifesto. But the SNP manifesto says we are going to ensure, we are going to work assiduously to increase domestic revenue to GDP at the end of the period to 20%. Yeah? When we came, between 2018 and 2019, before COVID, steadily we moved domestic revenue to GDP from 11% to 14%. That was between a period of 18 months, which shows that we are actually on a trajectory of hitting 20%. But touch wood, nobody in this world would plan in the morning, and whilst you are planning for disaster. But every budget that is presented to Parliament is presented on the fact that there are underpinning dynamics that would affect that budget.
Of economic bust, so to speak.
Yeah, and the underpinning dynamics in the budget of 2018, 2019, and succeeding were one, if the economic growth in the world slows down. And look at IMF economic projection. In 2019, they projected that the world economy will grow by 6.5%. By the first quarter of 2019, because of trade wars between United States of America and China, because of a lot of tariff embargo, because of the Brexit, the economic projection for 2019 was reviewed from 6.5% to 3.5%. That's a major move. And if you look at Sierra Leone economy is majorly import-driven. We are not like the economy of Guinea. I've had people compare Sierra Leone to Guinea. Let me make this clear. The Guinea economy, the Guinea GDP is $9.5 billion. And the Guinea expenditure is 5.5 or $5.6 billion. So it means the Guinea economy has a surplus of about $3 billion playing around. The Sierra Leone economy, total economic performance for 2021 alone is $874 million. As against an expenditure, imports of materials of $1.05 billion. Now, when COVID struck, before COVID struck, I heard him talking about inflation dropping in 1 month from a particular double digit. When we came to governance, inflation was at 17%. 14. It was at 17%. Go and check the. 14. We are not arguing. Go and check the. Go and check the by. No. Go and check the budget presented by the erstwhile Minister of Finance, Kargbo. You would see that inflation was at 17%.
Does it appear that you are reading from different documents?
No,
because
we are reading from the same documents.
Well, then what is happening?
What is happening is he wants to be deceitful to the public. That's all. No, you cannot help me. You are referencing the IGR report that is false? Are you referencing a falsified report? Are you referencing a falsified report?
No, this report is
inflation moderated from 17.8% in September 2017. This was taken from the budget presented by Kargbo to Parliament. Yeah? So we systematically, as a government, to show that we are moving at the right trajectory, inflation moderated from 17 to 14.1%. That's a marginal jump. We met for a foreign exchange was hovering around 7,100. Between 2018 and 2019, rolling to 2020, foreign exchange was almost around the same margin, 7,100, 7,500, which shows stability in the economy. Even though we had lost major foreign currency inflows, we have lost London Mining, we have lost Africa Minerals, we have lost Sockfin, we have lost the NGOs. The NGOs are now trading offshore. They are selling their foreign currency to crown agents, to EBISA, to this company that is here, Afro International and all. They are buying the foreign currency from the INGOs and they will transfer local currency into their account, which means we are struggling to get foreign currency. So our foreign currency dependency is only hinged on the fact that we have to export. And at the time, our minds were all closed. Because London Mining went into liquidation, not because of the twin shock, like people would want people to believe. No. London Mining went into administration because they had a bust. And the bust started from the fact that their major shareholder, which was the same Chinese company that took over Africa Minerals, pulled out because the figures that they were seeing were not right.
Let me ask you this question. For many economists around the world, when there is an economic boom, there's always a plan for a bust and how that can be handled. And I know we talk generally on the economy, but going back to the promises that were made as contained in the report, I mean, there are reforms promised to maximize revenue generation around tax and all of that, and including the payment of taxes by elected officials, including the vice president and the president.
You know, there
so
are things.
What were some of, I mean, those reforms, were they achieved?
Those reforms were achieved. For example, it spoke of review existing tax laws. We have reviewed a number of tax laws to the extent that this government has introduced a new policy on mining, which is tax-driven. That is to say, in every mining corporation that is going to be established in this country, like we have in Guinea, like you have Rio Tinto in Guinea, like you have other mining companies in Guinea, the Guinean government owns 49% in every mining company in Guinea. That is an enabler to ensure that when they sell, 90% of their foreign currency is repatriated back into the country. We don't have that. We have introduced that Mines and Mineral Development Act. It's not the Mines and Mineral Development Act review. We have introduced a Mines and Mineral Development Act that would focus purely on government going into joint venture. We have also introduced a tax reform on the management and issuance of tax and duty waivers. This parliament, it was done. Maybe it was not in parliament, it was somewhere else. We have done a number, we have reviewed the NRA law. Yeah? As a government, we have also developed a number of policies. He said policy was not tabled in cabinet. I wonder how he would know. He's a member of parliament. He's not in the government. He's not a cabinet member. You tax policies pass through cabinets will not come to parliament. What would those tax policies do? For the general public to understand. When once the government passes the tax policy, that tax policy would inform the Succeeding Finance Act that as was ably quoted by the IGR. So the Succeeding Finance Acts that have come to parliament, are they positive? Are they reform-driven? Are they hitting revenue drivers? For example, this recent tax finance bill that was sent to parliament, we realized that most of the businesses, what they do, they maintain two financials. There are businesses that have a financial that is in perpetual losses. But meanwhile, their real financial is showing positive variance. The business is moving up. And in 2 years' time, you will see that business will filing for liquidation. That, oh, the business is bust, bankrupt. And they will open another business. If you are mindful or keen enough, the viewers are here. The studio guests, thank God they are civil society activists. You will go around, you will see one businessman having 3 business names. That is because he is declaring one account to government that is lost. So now, government has said, whether you declare a loss or not, we are going to charge 3% on your revenue. So that is positive tax reform, and it's in the manifesto. We also promise to develop the capacity of local councils. I've had the...
That's governance.
No, that's not governance, that's the economy. That's revenue, that's page 13. That's my manifesto. I've had the former mayor of the city. Oh, this is not my government, we have been struggling. This mayor has received the highest disbursement of all the mayors ever in this country. From this government. The government that she would say, oh, it's not my government, I'm orphan. That is how much we wanted to reform the local council. And because of government positive policies, you will realize that the European Development has funded the Falaba Council for Reformation, the Koinadugu Council, and a number of other councils in the north. So if you look at this, that is why I am living with IGR. If you look at this, if you look at what we have achieved, and you look at the 79...
Rate yourself on the
Yeah,
economy.
because that's what I wanted
on the
to
economy,
ask.
let me tell you, if you look at Sierra Leone economy, in terms of inflation, even as bad as times are, we are still better than Turkey. We are still better than Iran.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
On a scale of 1 to 10, economic problem is across the world. Before I give you a particular ranking, even in the UK, they are struggling with double-digit inflation. Not as bad as Sierra Leone, because the economic volume and the economic scale.
Why do you have to compare the economy of Sierra Leone to that of Turkey? Why Turkey?
Why not compare it with Guinea? I've just told you about Guinea.
No, I'm asking the question. Why
because
Turkey?
You look at drivers. The economy is not it's not an event. It's a process. Yeah.
So given the global challenge.
Just recently, you said when there is an economic boom, you plan for a bust. Our economic boom in this country started in 2011 under the APC. 2011, 2012, 2013, our economy was hitting a rate of GDP of 1.5 billion, 2 billion. What did they do with the money?
There's a global economic meltdown, which many people
before
know.
the global economic meltdown was in 2008. I am telling you about 2011, 2012, 2013. What did they do with our 21% growth as the fastest growing economy? They were joyfully saying it all over the place. So we came in, we met austerity. There was already bust when we came. The economy was already busting when we came. So systematically, we have made progress. Because the economy is difficult, because we know it is challenging for our people. That is why government gave 500 billion to businesses.
Can I go
so
back?
if I can rate the economy in terms of performance, if I can evaluate this president
against what IGR reports,
I will give this president 8.5 over 10.
Okay. Let me just clarify.
Quickly.
Just quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
After
you know what I would say. I mean, let's think as Sierra Leoneans. This economy for children that are just born maybe 15, 20, 30 years ago, this economy has never been good for Sierra Leoneans. So I think the reason why we devised this tool was for us to speak frankly about what the issues are. So I think I think we have to be honest and fair to viewers to say this is the challenge that we face, and this is the solution that we intend to proffer. At the moment we are having this conversation, APC and SLPP are developing party manifestos.
Right.
So if we have an economy that is challenging, I think first and foremost we should admit, and this is the solution that we proffer to it. I mean,
But even the party that is in power will not admit to a report.
well,
I've admitted that.
No, you admitted, but you are actually trying. Yeah. So you are.
Yes. So if you look, the of course, Honorable Abdul Kargbo made some comments. Of course, we put in a lot of integrity as far as this report is concerned. We said develop and legislate national tax policy. So there are certain things. What the NRA did, which we scored, is way above developing and legislating national tax policy. They developed a revenue strategy, a medium-term revenue strategy. When you are developing a medium-term revenue strategy, that subsumes the national tax policy. And it's the revenue strategy that is actually, that's how the rest of Africa revenue management is being done right now. So we looked beyond what is stated in the manifesto. Not that we are trying to, I think we have to be very simplistic to say, you said this, what is this?
Can I make this, gentlemen? I think first off we have to understand that we're racing with time.
Yes.
And we have not gone into governance and gender. But yes, I'll give you a minute to respond. But we have to ensure that we have 2 more issues to look at.
We are here primarily to discuss this document.
Right.
But from every stretch of my imagination, it seems as if Tawa did not read this document. You understand? Because he is not quoting from the document, he's not referring to the document. We are discussing the economy, and he's talking about free education, he's talking about Guinea. In fact, let me make this, I want to be on record for this. There is no free education in Sierra Leone. There is no free education. What we have in Sierra Leone is fee-free education. Fee-free education. I want to be on record. When you want to see free education, go to Ghana. You don't pay anything. They cater for you for everything. But here, what parents pay alone is more than what just the tuition was 25,000 per term for secondary school. For the whole year, you pay 75,000. That is what government is taking care of. But you go and ask for berets, go and ask for the uniforms, go and ask for the other school items. they will charge you. So there is no free education in Sierra Leone. Let me make this very clear. What we have is fee-free education in Sierra Leone. And also, he stated, he was talking about Guinea, that their economy is this, their economy is that, we cannot compare it to Sierra Leone. But remember, in 2018, our currency was valued than the Guinea currency. In 2018, I went with 100,000. When I exchanged 100,000 leos to the Guinea currency, they gave me 150 Guinean francs. In 2018, as I speak, you go to Guinea, you give them 100,000 leos, Sierra Leonean leos, they will give you 45 Guinean francs.
All right.
That is how much there has been depreciation.
Let's move on to governance, gentlemen. Let's move on to governance. We have a live audience also to come in, which is.
You said 2018. The Guinean economy in 2019, they are the third largest exporter in the world of bauxite. So if you are taking 2018 as the benchmark for currency devaluation, then you should look beyond 2018, because if their economy started hitting a world height of being the third largest exporter of bauxite, and Guinea holds 7.4 billion.
Right, I think
The economy is always a critical area to discuss.
Exactly.
And time is never
Exactly.
So don't you trace as the benchmark?
Well, I mean, we would have loved to have an idea as to whether or not some of these gains in the economy can be translated to the everyday life. Because I know those are indicators that us, the ordinary citizens, would have to show.
So the way expats rate is different from the way citizens rate.
Exactly.
So expats normally rate the level of effort, which is rated here. Citizens, what is all of this translating into? So that's why you can see level of effort is strong in the economy, but outcomes are low.
Right.
Okay, let's now look at the
Governance.
Okay.
So governance is saying there are a few indicators here of what the promise is. The repeal of the seditious libel law, support the School of Journalism and other institutions to train journalists. You have provide funding opportunities for journalists to establish press houses as corporate entities, encourage the private sector to invest in media reform, provide a budgetary subvention to review the legal and operational status of the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. The facilitation, the implementation of the right to access information act, review of, but fundamentally, we know, of course, that is no, it's a fact. It's been expunged, the criminal aspect of Part 5. So we don't want to go spend more time in that. But let's look at. Okay, I'll give you a bite on it, Honorable Abdul. We will give you a bite. But let's look at institutional reforms. That is where the biggest trouble is, institutional reforms and national cohesion in terms of governance. So, Andrew, take us through those two things.
So, on the governance, President Mio and SLDP made 70 promises. And for those 70 promises, you have 14 of them in green, 14 in blue. And then, so it's, in terms of progress, governance actually made like 40% progress in terms of completed and significantly accomplished promises. Right. So this, like we said, is a source of concern. So normally, and my friend on the APC side should really pay attention to this. If you look at the sections on advancing rule of law and justice, you see normally governance recorded the most vague promises. 10 of the 40 vague promises are all in governance. So for example, strengthen judicial independence and avoid the embarrassment engendered in the ECOWAS ruling in the Samsumana case. That's a promise. So how do we measure this? Avoid reckless supreme executive authority and the so-called orders from above. How do we measure this? So normally when parties are developing manifesto, if APC is developing manifesto now, there is always a tendency to look at anger. This is how it's in governance that you see the anger of politicians coming out. When you look at the recommendations, appointments will be guided by proven competence and qualifications. Sustain general policy of respect to the rule of law and of the president and the government. So these are vague. So the reason why we are saying this, because political parties are developing manifestos now, you actually need to get some things concrete. Like for example, under cohesion. National cohesion, there are two. National cohesion is under governance. There are 3 recommendations. One is in green, one is in gray, and one is in blue. The one in gray says there should be a template requirement on all official documents that identities of that clearly expunges ethnic identity. We looked at this document. We double check this manifesto commitment. There is no official document that requires you to state your ethnicity. So we said this is vague. I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
So we consider this to be vague. So, but when you are framing a manifesto promise on national cohesion, one of the things, and this is where really we bring in the Citizens Manifesto, the biggest challenge on national cohesion has been who is in appointment and who is not. How do we ensure that there is a fair distribution of resources for everyone? So we're happy to report that the national cohesion, the Peace Commission, the Peace Commission instrument explicitly states that not above 30% of appointment by the next administration should be done. Not by region. No region will get above 30% of the appointments. So I really want you to ask members of the panel here whether they are committed to that, because it's not just about discussing. We can talk about this day in, day out. At the end of the day, is really what happens after this. So you can see governance, national cohesion becoming a challenge, sustaining democratic institutions, constitutional reform. I think that's where we had the biggest red. Encourage citizens to participate in strategic review exercise of the constitutional reform. Engage non-state actors in identifying thematic areas for constitutional reform, constitutional review. So we saw that after the white paper, the last white paper and this other white paper, we did not push the constitutional review. So that's why out of 1, 2, 3, 4, three promises on a constitutional reform, we only had 1 blue, 2 of them are in red. So you can see governance is the area where citizens get their power. It's the area where political parties give back the demos, this authority to citizens. So so if you look at promoting freedom, so yes, I think when you look at promoting freedoms, repeal seditious libel law, that is strict. Support School of Journalism and other institutions to train journalists. We know the Frobe College is already doing this. So mass communication, so we just thought this is not something. Provide funding opportunities to journalists. Yes, we saw there is an investment conference that is being done. So you can see that under press freedom and strengthening civil society, it's moderately good, but national cohesion is a challenge. Policing security is a challenge under governance.
Honorable Abdul Kargbo, what's your take on governance and the ratings?
Yeah. You see, I have told you that I have problem with this report, and basically when the president makes a promise, it is not hinged on what has been existing. You understand? Like, for example, support the School of Journalism and other institutions to train journalists. He is saying now mass communication school at Frobe College at government-owned college continue to receive support from government through their regular budgetary allocation to the university, you see.
We said there is no other type of support to school by government.
Yeah, let me
You should read the full comment.
Yeah, because of time, I don't want to waste my time reading everything. Now, this comment is not fulfillment of this promise made. Yeah? Before the president was writing his manifesto, government was always giving subvention to university. So continuing the subvention is not a fulfillment of this promise. And this promise also said they will order other institutions to train journalists. Is there any other institution government is supporting to train journalists? That's a promise not fulfilled. It should be in red and not in yellow. Yes. And you know, when you spoke here, you said, with all the rating of the economy, it should reflect on the daily living of people. You know, how they buy commodities, how they expend money. It should show. Yeah. Again, in the repeal of the seditious libel law, the primary aim is to ensure that, citizens have the right to criticize government without fear of being arrested. Yeah? But even for the fact that they have repealed the seditious libel law, they are still arresting people who criticize government. They are doing it. And like I say, governance is not only on paper. It should reflect. It's just synonymous to repealing the death penalty. You repeal the death penalty so that anybody who is found guilty will not be sentenced to death again. But you continue extrajudicial killing, which is worse than the death penalty. So you don't come with law just to let it be part of your campaign message. You come with it so that Sierra Leoneans will benefit from it, you see. So, like I said,
just so we have things to point to, the Honorable Ibrahim Tawa, who is here representing the government. Now, after the repeal of the seditious libel law, now, who are those who've been arrested for...
Zainab Sharif.
Go ahead.
Zainab Sharif.
Okay.
She was called. She was detained. And everybody, you saw what happened recently. Some women covered their faces and they were videoed just because they don't want their faces to show because of fear of being arrested. You see, so you don't close the space and boast with laws you make. Yeah, and quite apart from that, they said provide a budgetary subvention to the. Okay, they said also. No, I'm coming. That is not what I wanted to read. Tawa, when you come there, you will read it. When you come there, you will read it. You have your time. Yes. They said they would invest in the media. Yeah? Yes, look at it. Provide funding opportunities for journalists to establish press houses as a corporate entity. That was the promise. Did they provide the funding? Did press houses established? Look at their response. They gave it blue. And blue is their second highest rating after green. Blue is their second highest. And look at the evidence. The evidence is a conference on investing on the media was held in 2020. So because they held a conference in 2020 on investing on the media, it means that they have gone far. Because according to their interpretation of blue, they have almost, completed providing funding opportunities for journalists to establish press houses and corporations. So to me, the grading system of this report is not correct. It's not correct. To be right with them, there are some places that they got it right. There are some green that they allocated that are correct. There are, like for example, when they said yes, the repeal of the seditious libel law. In fact, it was repealed. It was repealed. Yeah. Yes, that happened. That happened. It happened. It's an answer. All right. I am reading to you.
We trust our audience. Yeah. They can read the facts, the politics, and all of that. So
let's bring in Honorable Tawa.
Right.
Yeah.
You see, I tell you, the problem I have with this report is the overall rating of 79.9%.
Which you feel you have been underrated?
Of course. Okay. The government 79 that says we are going to adopt policies and laws to develop the capacity of journalists. We have reviewed the IMC law. We have given additional capacity to the IMC. We have ensured that journalists have the freedom to perform their role. We have strengthened the freedom to access information. You listen to the last updates by the head, Shagashaw. He told you that access and request has increased tremendously up to 80-85%, because now they can send access. This is not my word. This is the director himself, the person in charge of the Rights to Access Information Commission. He said it on national radio. So how can you give us 79 for that? How can you give a government that says we are going to provide funding opportunities for journalists to establish press houses? We are giving subvention to SLAJ. We cannot direct the use of that subvention as a government. If we were giving, SLAJ has its
That's
membership.
a different promise from the subvention to SLAJ, according to even the
No. There is no part in the manifesto that says we are going to give extra subvention to SLAJ. Look at this. This is it in front of me.
So the subvention covers that particular
So the
promise of
subvention, the use of the
journalists to establish
subvention,
media houses.
the use of the subvention cannot be determined by the giver. I cannot be the judge in my own court. I cannot be the referee and be the player. I cannot say I give you money and say, okay, go and give it to AYV so that AYV can establish additional press houses, or they can establish or beef up their radio. It is not my place. My place is we give. And since we have been giving, we are only graduating year on year. We have been increasing the budgetary support given to SLAJ. And we have not put any caveat. All we say as a government is when we give you, at the end of the period, because of accounting purposes, you return with an expenditure schedule and evidence of expenditure. That is all. How can you give us 79.9 when we say we are going to encourage the private sector to invest in the media? We brought in a private sector conference. They gave us green. I am happy. They brought in a private sector conference.
It started already.
The investment has to be enabled by the very press itself.
How?
Let me give you this. Look at other press houses. You would see somebody come out with a banner headline. And that same press house that will come out with a banner headline, the next day, you will see the same press house come with another headline that they are reversing that banner headline because the facts were not checked properly. And that is not once, that is not twice, that has been done severally on different people, and different people have.
And that is also happening in law, in medicine, and other professions.
It happens everywhere, but we are talking about journalism, and we are talking about the reason why, because the investor.
Is that enough reason?
No. I am saying I'm not the investor. I am saying as an investor, I look at a number of parameters. Yeah, I look at the leadership, I look at conglomeration, I look at the number of, the proliferation of media houses and newspapers. So, for us as a government, Abdul was saying we promise to establish a new School of Journalism. We did not. We said we support the School of Journalism and other institutions to train journalists.
Correct.
And the only School of Journalism in Sierra Leone. There are other schools anyway. There are other schools in other universities. But the major one is.
But there is no major on the promise.
And that was not a School of Journalism, by the way.
And that's not the School of Journalism, by the way. It's training people that studies mass communication.
Right.
So, as a government, if you look at what we have done, and that is not on the government. No, let me come.
I want us to just zoom in on some of the critical areas.
That is what I'm doing, national cohesion. It spoke of national cohesion.
Yes.
Look at our cabinet. Andrew said part of it's part of our governance commitment,
Right.
national cohesion, by the way. So it's governance. So if I talk about national cohesion, it's governance. Look at our cabinet. Our cabinet shows that we have 29 cabinet ministers. 16 of them are from Northwest. We have 14 from Southeast and some other areas. So it shows that already President Bio is deepening national cohesion. President Bio has established a commission for national cohesion. President Bio called the third Bitumani conference for Sierra Leoneans to go discuss, to go sit together as a family, and let's bring out our issues. Let's find solution.
Is appointment a yardstick for national cohesion, appointing people?
It is. Let me tell you, that is something I will take on again with the IGR when they do their next report. They should also note, and I'm sure President Bio is watching, that when we are in the Western area, we don't represent the minority. This diversification 16, most of them are from the north. There are only 2 people from the Western area. So we are saying IGR should also take an analysis, a deep dive, on the fact that as President Bio is diversifying, strategic areas, if he's focusing strategically on the north, I have a northern background, but I was born in the Western area, I was raised in the Western area, and I'm in the Western area, and I've lived all my life in the Western area. So if President Bio is giving 16 position as diversified national cohesive position to a north and western area, it should be 8 to western area, 8 to the north. So it is equitably distributed. So giving position is part of deepening national cohesion. If you look at what President
But
Kabadi,
it goes beyond that, no?
it goes beyond that, and going beyond that is establishing the Commission for National Cohesion that has been engaging citizens across the country as to what needs to be done, how we can bring the temperature down if there's any temperature that is up.
Andrew, just quickly on institutional reforms, let's talk about the police. What is the report saying on the police? based on the promise?
Well, so there's quite a lot on improving security, and some are vague. Recruitment, promotion, and transfers of service personnel are conducted in a fair and transparent manner. We don't know what that means.
It means when you recruit people,
yes,
you advertise across all regions. You recruit people from across the regions.
Yes.
They come and they go. So you have equitable distribution. You don't just recruit 70% from the north or 70% from the south and 10% from the western area. So that is equitable recruitment.
So when you look at 276, it says reintroduce community screening of recruits into the Sierra Leone armed forces. Community screening. I remember growing up under Tijan Kaba, you need to go by chiefdom. You need to go to a chiefdom. That's where you are screened and you are recruited. And why that was important? At the end of the day, you actually have a force that is of national character. So I think when you say community screening and that is not done, it's not done by both sides. It's not.
No, we did. I don't want to cut you. We did. The last military recruitment process, the forms that were issued required every applicant to take their form to their tribal head if you are in the western area.
So we're talking about having recruitment. We're talking about introduce community screening of recruits.
That has always been the
yes, community screening of recruits. You know why this is important? Because when you look at policing, police approval rating is at the lowest at the moment. So you have only 19% of citizens actually approving police professionalism. So that's why when you look at security rating, it's on the low for the most part. It's largely influenced by the low policing standards. I don't know whether Wise you want to move.
Yes. Let's join us and not for. Let's just get some comments from our audience. Samuel.
Yes, so please.
It's time for you guys to make your input into the conversation. We just need your name and just you have at most 45 seconds to make your contribution. By raising your hands, yes, sir. Go ahead. No, just go ahead.
Yes, I'm Victor Tutu Rogers. My question will go for both the SLPP and the APC, and I will end with the APC. I want them to tell us, this audience, if ever any government have achieved 100% in their manifesto, which they do for us. And then even, for Honorable Kargbo, they were in the then government, I would like him to also tell us, in their then government, what was in their manifesto? Was it all achieved?
All right, thank you very much. Yes, sir. Can I please have a way to be a friend to Mohammed Jawad Nyale? Yes, sir.
All right, Mohammed Jawad Nyale here. I think this question goes for Honorable Tawa. You were making a reference that economically we are better off than Turkey. I want to know which metrics you are using to make that particular assessment.
All right. We need more hands quickly. Yes, sir.
Yes, Alfred M. Cisse.
Alfred, would you please stand up so our audience would see you?
Okay, Alfred M. Cisse. First, I want to commend IGR for this laudable venture. Of course, we know that no government can achieve all of their promises. For Sierra Leone, it has never happened. But what I want both Honorable President and their followers and APC, SLPP, is the fact that we should look at that document holistically and assess the facts in the document, not to use it as a political tool. There are areas the president scored and there are areas the president needs to work on more. And so we encourage people to look at the documents carefully before making comments. It shouldn't be a political tool, and I see like both presidents are evading the content of the document, trying to bring what they know into the discourse.
The politicians are talking. Yes, let's get the lady.
Good evening, everyone.
Please stand up.
I am Millicent Sinavamana, and according to the report or first, let me commend IGR for this report. And I think Honorable Tawa said that the government has helped or has made a lot of contributions to the mass comm department. Actually, I was a part of that department. I was a student there, and I was admitted in 2015. And back then in 2015, we were not paying a professional fees. But now, a professional fees have been asked to be paid, which is 500 leons. Each student has to pay that amount. And when you look at the fees they are paying, way back in 2015, it wasn't like, it didn't, it didn't reach the amount they are paying now. Way back in 2015, it was 2,500 per student, both degree and diploma. But right now, it has increased. So I don't know whether the free quality education only stops within the primary and the secondary, because it has drastically increased.
Thank you. The free quality education.
And Mohamed Ba is the name.
Stand up, please, Mohamed Ba, quickly.
Mohamed Ba is the name. I want to ask Tawa to rate the economy. 2 years when you took over governance and 5 years from now exactly. What has been the percentage? 2 years when you took over and now 5 years into your term in governance. How will you rate the two?
All right, so thank you very much. We have another woman here. Yes.
Aisata Mao is my name, and for me, it's not a question, but rather just to talk to the two major political parties that are seated here, that at this particular moment, we are not here for them to be arguing or fighting against who scored the most or who scored least. What they should be doing by this time is for them to look into those particular indicators or parameters that are being used to put this report forward and see where, as a country, where we have not done well, and find ways or strategies of moving forward from that point. You know, this is where peace and national cohesion begin. For me, when I was looking at the indicators or the parameters that are being used, I was saying that there are a few things that we need to tackle. And when we tackle them, all of these other issues will not grapple with. So this is just some advice to both political parties seated here.
All right, I think we'll take 3 more people. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Hassan Fuad Kanu, and I work for an NGO. First of all, I want to thank IGR for being able to create the space for us all to be able to look into 5 years down the line, what have we've done right and what is still the problem there. I want to ask a question to the politicians. One of them, I will start with the SAP politician, to say there were some promises for young people which SAPP made, apart from the human capital development, which free quality education and other things stood under. Are you satisfied with the issue of unemployment in Sierra Leone? And I also want to ask the APC politician, are you convinced that you did what you were supposed to do so that young people will be happy whilst you were in governance? And did you do that also whilst you are in opposition? And for IGR, my question would be, the NGO landscape in Sierra Leone is getting very wild to the extent that civil society have been politicized by some people, according to what the Honorable there said. And I believe some of us, we still have our integrity, and we stood for what we stand for, because we believe that civil society has integrity and we are going to stand for the people and with the people. How can we make this better so that not only for the biometer, but on other issues?
All right, yes, sir. Please stand up.
I'm Justice Ganawa. I just want to give a very short highlight on what obtains with the report. Looking at the report, I'm expecting the two politicians to look at the report from a way of saying that when you rate and you ended up giving somebody a blue or ended up giving somebody a red, does not simply mean we are getting it from the output end. It's just about a manifesto, what was promised, the effort that was put into making sure that that promise was achieved is what the rate here. The output in terms of like the economy, we argue here in, here out, that is not what the document is looking at. What the document is looking at is for us to look at the fine details in it. As opposition, those things that have been achieved, how can we replicate those things in our manifesto so that when we have our manifesto coming out, as we see the past manifestos. And for the ruling government, what I'm expecting here is for you to pinpoint on the areas. Now the areas that we score, that we have a score showing red, area that we have a score showing blue, we want to see how you can translate those things into having an output that will reflect in the lives of the ordinary Sierra Leoneans. If we are giving, if you have a 79 point something %, let's look at these percentages, as you rightly mentioned. What are these things that we lacked and what are these things that we've achieved? How can we replicate those things so that if we come back to governance, we'll be able to change the narratives and the lives of Sierra Leoneans will be touched in a way that people will not be saying what is on paper is different from what is. But in the to summarize, I want us to make sure that this report, as politicians and people of this country, let's look at it, take our time, go into it and understand the fine details, and that will help us. Thank you.
All right. Can I please pass the final comment? We have to look at the issue of gender.
My name is Lai Jackson. I'm reporting for CTN Radio Montoya. I want to say many thanks to IGR for putting together this report. And my own question has to do with, is there any section in that particular report that speak about and prefer solution towards areas that the president did not do well? I want to know if there is any solution there.
All right, thank you very much. Over to you, Salmata.
Thank you, and I hope Andrew, as well as Honorable Tawa and Honorable Kargbo, took note of the comments, questions, and observations. So I'll start with you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. So quite inside questions, and of course, I've had quite a lot of advice that let us have a national view of this. Let us not, it's at this time, if we discuss a report like this, without it not being politicized, I really pity the politicians where they're coming from. It's easy for you, APC, to look at this and then see if you rate this well, you sow in votes in their favor. SLP saying if you rate us good, you sow in votes in our favor. So I sympathize with that. So, but few facts are clear. Point number one, Tawa keeps saying 79.9% scored. It's 79.9% of the manifesto promises that we are touched.
Yeah.
79.9% of the manifesto promises that we are touched. So, and we can break them down. So out of that, 61.5% of them are either in blue or green. That means either they are being completed or significantly done. We have 18% that just started. So that's all from the 79.9%. Those are just started, those are completed. And then the other, someone mentioned something about CSO integrity. It's very important, Fuad. It's very important. Normally politicians fight data. Yeah. So, I laugh when the politician try to challenge my data. Normally what they do, they go behind your data, try to attack your personality, and to sow doubt in people's minds about what you're doing without necessarily challenging the facts. So our facts and IGR goes through a lot of internal scrutiny and in most cases peer review. And that's why for us, we even hired consultants to do this. So, the best way to maintain civil society integrity is to hold your feet to fire, to maintain facts. Right now, if you publish a report that says SLPP is not doing well, you have people that will go after you. If you say a report that says SLPP is doing well, you have people that will go after you. But that should not deter us. We have to do our work. So I think, working with evidence, policy influencing with evidence, it goes with the territory. So that, unfortunately, is the terrain we find ourselves. Someone asked about solutions, whether there are solutions.
Can you keep the question for solutions at the end?
Okay.
Let's quickly allow Honorable Abdul to respond to any of the questions, if you can.
Well,
Quickly, please.
Somebody asked if any government has achieved their
100%.
manifesto promise. In fact, I am of the opinion that steps like this are very necessary, more so when political parties are putting their manifesto together. They would know that if they write anything that they are unable to achieve, they will be called to book at the end of their term. So to me, when governments don't achieve their manifesto promise, it's not an excuse for any government not to achieve. Nobody ran after you to put up your manifesto. You did it out of the exercise of your discretion. You did it out of your volition. You know, you did it without compulsion. So you should be able to write what you can do. Don't write, you know, to smoke screen Sierra Leoneans to believing in you, and at the end of the day, you don't achieve it, you see. And somebody say not to use, we should not use this as a political tool. I fully agree with the person. Because I have not used it as a political tool, that was why I unhesitantly said there were green that are true. There were places where they had green that are true. I said it. But there are places where they had green that are not correct. There are places where they had yellow that are not correct. There are places where they have blue that are not correct. So I should not be seen solely opposing the document without, you know, or solely praising the document without highlighting some of the pitfalls, you know. And somebody was saying, who scored the most? We should not be debating about who scored the most. I think it's Madam Maori. Say we should not be debating who scored the most, we should not come with politics into the debate. But again, I tell you, the essence of this debate is to assess the 5 years of President Bio on his promises. We are not assessing him on anybody's promises. We are assessing him on the promises made in the SLPP manifesto.
All right.
So if SLPP is putting together a manifesto, they would know that these are some of the things that we have said that we have not achieved, and these are some of the things that we have said that we are.
Okay.
Again, I say it repeatedly that I am not even convinced that the 70 or so grade that they have touched is correct. I have painstakingly highlighted some of the promises made, you know, that we are not touched or that we are not correct, and I have highlighted them.
All right.
And I have highlighted some omissions of promises made by this government that are not in this report.
Okay.
You see? So
let's quickly hear from
wholeheartedly.
Honorable Ibrahim Tawa quickly.
Thank you. Thank you to our viewers and our listeners at home.
I think the viewers here makes the program much more interesting. And he ended up on a sound note, starting with the first question, that whether any government could achieve 100% of its manifesto commitments. Not even the President of the United States will, because there are impending unforeseen circumstances that would show their ugly face in the course of your governance, that would limit or would redirect your focus in terms of a particular commitment and move it into addressing another commitment. We have dead focused on achieving every indicator on education. But who will leave addressing COVID and providing social safety nets and providing support for businesses that are importing foodstuff for the daily consumption of Sierra Leonean to go and build schools all over the place? You would build some schools, but you would focus on that. So nobody would achieve 100%. Also, somebody asked whether the economy, Jawad said, whether I said Sierra Leone economy is better than Turkey. I did not say so. I said Sierra Leone inflation is better than Turkey. And that is fact. That is an IMF rating. And Sierra Leone economy cannot be better than Turkey, even though their currency is at a free fall. Their currency depreciation is almost 90 to 100%, which is not the same with ours. But what they are producing, what they are exporting, they are the #1 exporter of wheat flour across the world. What do we export? Our #1 export is titanium ore, in a small quantity. And somebody also, my lady said, increase in fees. Unfortunately, what government does is to provide SLG. And what we have done over the years, since 2018 to 2022 academic year, we have provided 11,454 grants in aid to students, amounting to about 57,270,000,000. And of that, we have given scholarship to people studying STEM, women, not the entire capacity. We have provided scholarship to 2,327 women and girls studying STEM. So now, in terms of fees in university, when I entered the university in 2001, 2002, my first fees was 628,500. That cannot be a fee now in university. So since then, until the time I was leaving, I had to pay up to $1 million. In fact, I started paying $1 million while I was in university. So it is not but strange, especially for people offering professional courses, to pay more, because the expectation is when you come to the universe, you would get like my brother from services. He's seated there as a director. When you see him on the screen, you would want to have his suit because he studied a professional course. If you look at me studying Bachelor of Art degree, you will see my suit. It's different from his because it's a professional. That is why you're paying some professional fees to teach you mannerism, teach you
Stay with us, Honorable Tawa. Now let's quickly move on to gender. Andrew, what is the report saying around the promises made and delivered?
So gender is really combined with many other sectors, I could say. So covering singing, we don't know that they are actually talking about things that shape your lives. So if for those that are in music, when you look at this, that is manifesto point 4.4 number 485. It says, make amendments to the procurement laws. Make amendment to the procurement laws that will give preferential treatment to performing female contractors. So that means, Salmata, if you are now bidding, you should have a fair, you should have a better chance of getting the contract. Is that being done? So it's good for women to look at this manifesto, study this one first before jumping at what is coming from APC and SLPP. Yeah. And by the way, we are even thinking of producing an app or a link where you can say, I want to say what SLPP says about women, and you see it. So you can see, largely just to wrap up, it's been 36, 18 are in green, 5 are in blue, and then 4 in yellow, then 7 are in red. 7 in red. And when you look at some of the issues in red, strengthen local councils to monitor to ensure the implementation of child labor policy or strategy, which you can see. If you look at the Afrobarometer that was published, so the Afrobarometer says, while we are doing well on gender, while we are doing well on children, resources for child protection are low. So the more we pass these promises, the more we respond to these promises, the better we are at international benchmarks.
All right. Honorable Abdul Kargbo, quickly on gender.
Yes, my brother has challenged me that there is no promise in the SLPP manifesto that is not captured in this report. Let me read few of the promises in the SLPP manifesto that is not captured in this report. 1, under revenue generation, the SLPP manifesto promised to mandate the NRA and the Ministry of Finance to upload on a regular basis tax information on revenue collection by section, tax rates, particularly on frequently imported commodities, assessment, and rate of tax compliance by sector. It is not in this report. 2, the SLPP manifesto, they promised to develop the capacity of local council, particularly the city council in revenue assessment and collection. It is not in this report. 3, the SLPP manifesto also promised that they will mobilize resources from non-traditional sources, such as issuing of diaspora bonds.
I thought you are reading our reports, because what you are saying...
Well,
With all due respect, you have to go read this report.
Okay, please. Now, what I want you to do, let us clear this. No, for the sake of the audience.
Yes.
Let him just show me where it is in this report that says, in the manifesto that says they will mandate the NRA and the Ministry of Finance to upload on a regular basis tax information on revenue collection by sector. I know it is not done, they have not implemented it, and it is not in this report. If it shows me where that is in this report, then I'll give up.
Okay.
I'll keep digging.
Okay, let's go. Honorable Abdul Kargbo, quickly
Yes,
on the
sir.
gender.
Yes, on
we
gender.
do not have time, we're running
on gender.
out of time.
Like I said, I'll give him the assignment. We'll have to look at.
Go ahead on the gender,
until
please.
we end this meeting. Like I said, you see, to make laws and to implement them are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
When you make laws on gender, you have to follow them up. You understand? And you don't have to be discriminatory against women. Of course, we have passed the 30% quota, especially in the Public Elections Act. You understand? But you have to look again at how women were treated under this government. How did they treat women? You understand? You know, we saw the way the accountant general, and we're still looking for it. You will not find it. You saw the way the accountant general was treated. Yes,
the auditor general.
The auditor general, was treated. You understand? And you saw that even the number of women representation in parliament was reduced drastically, and they were replaced with men who had very low votes. It was reduced. So you cannot say you are promoting gender whilst on the background you are undermining gender. So to us, we don't think that you see, this government is good at implementing laws on paper, but implementing them in practice is what the problem of this government.
Okay, Honorable Ibrahim Tawa, gender.
Our record on gender is clear. This is the only president that has declared emergency on rape. This is the only president that has seen a manifesto commitment of another government to provide 30% minimum. We did not only enact the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Bill, but we also make it mandatory in the Public Elections Act that the political party registration, after reviewing party listing, can notify ECSL if ECSL did not pick it up to refuse party list that does not meet the requirement of 30%. This government, like I've said, I've given you figures, statistics of what we are supporting, how we are supporting our girls and women studying science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Yeah? Abdul said members of parliament, female members of parliament were removed. Look here, there is law and there must be justice. If the law says you should resign your office 12 months to election, and if you are collecting salary from any government institution because you're taking advantage of the system that, okay, it is my system and I am pretty sure that my system is going to continue, and for whatever reason your system did not continue and somebody petition, and evidence to the effect shows that this was
Gentlemen.
true, then you would have to face the music. So for me, our record on gender is clear. You've seen the number of women we have in cabinet. I will not talk about the Auditor General because the laws of this country are clear as to what powers the president has to refer who to a special commission and to investigate who because of whatever reason.
Let's do justice to those who've been following us on Facebook. We have hundreds of messages, and time would never permit us to go through all of them. So let's see if we can spend at most 2 minutes. Ibrahim Jakema is saying, 5 years ago, our children were thrown out of school because of school fees. Today, a brand new direction government has brought relief to parents with the introduction of free quality education. Today, more than 3 million children go to school for free. Thank you, President Bio. The Bio meets are facts only. Been hashtagged. This country badly needs an economic technocrat to fix the problem, like Dr. Samuel Kamara. Interesting. Cheno Kamara, we have, when campaigns are declared, we'll definitely bring you guys out to come and campaign for your candidates. This is not made up data. Those who have been following the work of IGR have no doubt. Amadou Kargbo is saying, all the manifesto promises of President Bill did not succeed. Okay, the presentation is fairly good, but it seems there were gaps in the rigorosity in the methodology. Al-Hassan Mai is saying this government failed the nation. The bag of rice is at 680 now. Mohammed Kamara is saying, let me take 3 more messages. Why is Honorable Abdul Kargbo is more wiser? All right. To curb the gap between the I suggest for, okay, I'm not going to go through that. Okay, let me just take, 5 years ago, there was cosmetic infrastructural development all over the country. Bridges were death traps, road construction, finance, and okay, these are things that we're not looking at. And Lavalu, the past president, had said he was running the government like a business. Was this meter working at that time? If yes, did we make profits? Mike Dean is saying there. Okay, I think I have told the messages there.
All right, thank you so much. Yes, Andrew.
Thank you very much. So I actually need to do, I mean, when Honorable Abdul Kargbo was talking, I knew he was reading this document, right? There are 536 promises. I really need to do a quick computer search because I only have the manual here. But all of, I mean, he mentioned it. What I promised to do, I will just hive it after this program and post it online and attach this document for viewers to see, right? I cannot produce it now, but let me just respond to some
quickly,
of the questions.
please. We do not have time.
So they said this never existed, and it exists now. So really, we are advancing as a country. Every day we define, we raise the bar, we raise the benchmark, and political parties should be looking at this show now. When you are developing the promise, your manifesto, don't overpromise and underdeliver. When you are developing your manifesto, know that this is a poor country. And it's poor to some point that we have to prioritize. In the context of prioritizing, we have to know that many things we have to beg. So I know there is that tension between promising and delivering. But you know, it's the reason why is why we are doing this work. I have seen politicians, instead of sticking to the issues, which is really, to me, is the biggest vote winner. If you go to young people, a lot of young people need jobs. I mean, Yakan mentioned that very well. Fuad mentioned that very well. A lot of young people need jobs. So instead of saying you are not getting job because that person is not giving you job, you have to explain. Say, I will give you jobs. This is how we're going to invest in agriculture. When we do that, you'll get job. This is how we invest in energy. When we do that, you'll get jobs. So this is what this biometer is pushing.
Thank
that
you.
we need to move from rhetoric and discuss substance.
Thank you, Andrew. Quickly, Honorable Abdul Kargbo.
Again, I have justified my point. He said every promise made in the manifesto was captured in this report.
Not everyone was captured.
And I just gave him one. He has not found it in the report.
Go ahead, quickly.
And he says he will do a computer chat and post it on Facebook or wherever after a year, except if they add the manifesto promise to this report after a year. But I can bet my life that most of the manifesto promises of President Bio were omitted in this assessment. That is why it looked very good for the president.
So in essence, in essence, Honorable, you're now questioning the credibility of the report.
That is it. I am doing it unhesitatingly. I am doing it with alacrity. Yes, I am questioning the credibility of this report.
All right.
And civil society organization must stop being subterfuge of government. Yes.
Is this what this report is actually doing now?
Exactly. The report is trying to make the president look good as if he has achieved.
Andrew, that's a serious slap on your report.
I know. Had this report said President Bio failed, I would have been the best. So IGI would have been the best. What we have done is to provide evidence for each manifesto promise, and I bet you, and I bet him, there is no manifesto promise that is not here.
Okay.
So you just you mentioned for publishing. No, listen. Let me announce this to the public. He mentioned that publishing. President Bio mentioned publishing revenue, publicizing revenue. It's not here. It's there, right? And I want you to announce. I want him to announce. I want you. You know what? We do quite a lot.
All right.
Let me finish.
Quickly,
we
please.
do
We
quite
don't
a
have
lot
time.
as civil. Let me finish. Abdul, please. We do quite a lot as civil society to hold institutions to account, and I feel happy when he does that. I just want him to read three of those. The good thing is we cannot fake this report because it's already in public domain. So just read three of those comments, because as a matter of fact, I cannot look into this document now manually. It's 536. Please give him a minute.
Okay. Honorable Tawa, quickly. Quickly.
Thank you very much. What I like.
Go ahead, quickly. You have a minute, please. I know. Let him. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I had to read everything. Okay. So when I say it is not here, it's not here.
Thank you, Honorable Kargbo.
What I like about my honorable friend, he likes winning. Like what? He likes winning. He wants to come out and say, oh, I won, I need to capture. But let me tell you what is possible and what is possible. Whether I agree or not, it is clear that even if what he has stated, even myself, I cannot capture every manifesto commitment of President Bio. Because the way the manifesto document was designed, the bullet points, they are not numbered. There are bullet points all over, So I think they have done a fantastic job, even though I question the total percentage. But as a country, and as people, and as young people, we should not always come out to poke holes in people's efforts. We should also appreciate and let them know that yes, there are these gaps and these gaps, but not capturing one or two out of 14 manifesto commitments.
Thank you.
Does it mean that they have not done a detail?
Thank you very much, Honorable Ibrahim Tawa Kote from the ruling Selling People's Party. And thank you. And thank you very much, Abdul Lavali from IGR and Honorable Abdul Kargbo from the Oppositional People's Congress Party. Thank you very much to our live audience and to those of you who followed us on our different social media platforms, on TV, radio, station across the country. And this is where we end tonight's program. My name is Samuel Wisebango, and the show has been a Wise on Sunday.
Okay, I'm Salma Taba. Thank you so much for watching. I've served as guest presenter for tonight, AYV on Sunday, courtesy of IGR. Thank you so much for watching and good night.
Right, and our play is AYV Primetime News. Take care of yourself and have a lovely night.